Hey, everybody, welcome to Verified Investing. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist. In this video today, we're going to cover Palladium. I'll teach you how to play it via an ETF, and we'll also look at the key levels as a buy level appears to be quickly approaching. All right, into the chart we go. This is your daily Palladium chart. And what we can see here is that Palladium's been in a bear market for some time. Recently, it had a monstrous move from about $900 all the way up to about $1,340. All right, so that's a big percentage move right there. Since then, look at this, by the way, great topping tail. That's a technical reversal signal, a bearish reversal signal, and sure enough, price did come back in beautifully. Now, the question is it a buy? And the answer is yes. Based on technical analysis, it's getting close. It's not there yet, but it is getting very, very close. Now, to do this, what we want to do here, folks, is look at where it's going to hit technical support. And right off the bat, I'm see this move up, pull back, move up, and then break up, and then how it from on the backside, it kind of used that same area as technical support. So that is my level that I am monitoring right around 1080 to 1075. So that becomes a buyable level right there. And then additional add levels would be right in here around 1040. And again, I want to show you why. So this is basically a buyable range in here, 1075 to 1040, we'll call it. Notice high pivot, kissed it here, high pivot, and then same thing, broke above, kind of retraced, and then went up, hit here, broke out, retraced, and then went on its merry way. And so this tells us that this area should be a very, very good area of technical support. And now you're getting to a point where this is starting to look oversold to the downside, and it could be approaching a buyable bounce level. All right. So again, that's something that I wanted to bring to your attention. Great move up on Palladium. In fact, I caught it on the way up. Now I'm waiting patiently on the way down for it to get into a major buy range. And it certainly is close, my friends. All right. The other thing to note here is if we look at the lowest point, right? So if we look at this lowest point before the bull run started on Palladium and we do a Fibonacci retrace, look at what we get here. This is so cool. So look at the 618, which is the most common, my favorite retrace to buy off of. The 618 Fibonacci is at 1063, right in the middle of my buy zone. And that just reinforces the level that basically between 1075 and 1040, that should be a very strong area of support. Now, the question will be is, are we headed higher to new highs on Palladium above the recent high? That's a bigger question. I do ultimately think we are. Part of that is just the fiat currency issue that continues with debt and all the other factors. But ultimately, again, gold, silver, I mean, in terms of dollars, if the dollar continues to weaken, then you should see metals over time go higher in terms of dollars. And I do think that that will eventually happen, and Palladium will be a basically a factor in that, or appreciate in value. All right, so we have our buy level here on this. Now, the question I would say is, how do we look to trade it? Well, before we do that, before we get into the trading vehicle that I use, let's take a look at the bigger time frame. If we go to the bigger time frame, you can see that Palladium again is pulling back to levels it hasn't seen since basically 2017, 2018, and even over here. I mean, basically this high here from 2014 was the lows from there, and that gives us a good basis to understand that really there should be a floor in the Palladium price. Sure, it could come down to like $900 or so in a worst case scenario, but if you're buying in at 1075 to 1040, that's really not that much downside, about 10% or so, maybe a little over 10%, 15% before it starts getting into that level. And I think that's the good sign, right? We always want to look at both the positives and the negatives of the trade. Then on the other side, where could we see Palladium go up to? See this low here, this high, these two highs right over there, going back to 2019, right? And then also this low from 2021, put a trend line in there, and that is your big resistance to the upside. So the thought process here is I'll be looking to buy in that 1075 here range to 1040, and I'll be looking for a bigger move up to the $1,600 level. That'll net me about a 50% return, a little over 50% return should it play out. Now, of course, there's no guarantees it'll play out, but the idea is, again, chart analysis is favoring this both on the near term for the buy level, the downside risk on the lower level there, and also on the big move to the upside. So again, folks, as always, I try to bring the hardcore charts, no BS, just charts and data to these individualized videos, deep diving into both the risks and the reward, the buy levels. And lastly, like I said, what do I use to trade the Palladium chart, or Palladium, PALL? It's the ABRDN Physical Palladium Shares ETF right here. And again, this one's very easy to trade. It mimics the Palladium move, as we can see. And again, that means for me at least, I'm probably looking around 97-ish to 97.50 as my buy zone right in here. You can see the gap fill right there and these former high pivot right over here, which is down to about 95. So I'd say 97.5 down to 95 would be the equivalent on the PALL, and that's an ETF. So if assuming you can trade ETFs, we can all trade that if you're in the US, and that is one way to play it. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. It's always a pleasure to bring you this information. Come find us at verifiedinvesting.com. I have swing trade services inclusive, one called Smart Money Commodities and Miners, where I will be trading the PALL with exact entries and exits to my members. Have a good one, folks. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Take care.